Hi everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves Scrap, and I'm coming to you from the land down under, and today I am playing along with Off the Board with pineapple papers. Crystal Barrett organises this hop every year, and it is Saturday, so that means a Scraplift Saturday, and this is the layout that I chose from Scrappy Chick 101, and this is how my layout came out. Now, I love Scrappy Chick 101 and have been following her for a long time on scrapbook.com, and this was one of her layouts I've had pinned to my board for years. So I'm using these three photos that I took when my daughter and I were in Brisbane at Roma Street Gardens last November. So I'm going to use pink, and I pulled out this scrap here which I don't end up using. I use these papers instead, the Tranquility range from Scrapbook Fantasies. Alicia has created such beautiful papers, and they go beautifully with the flowers in the garden and the Tranquility. So that's what I've chosen to use, and I'm also going to cut out some of these elements off the back to use as my embellishments. Now I've got this green paper here which I'm going to use as my base, and I've also got some other embellishments to the side. They're also from Scrapbook Fantasies. So with my base, I'm going to cut my frame as I always do, and I use a 1-inch frame to go around the outside, and then I've got the paper on the inside to utilise. I'm going to double mount this one today, so I'm trimming down my pink cardstock to create another frame within the frame. Now, as I said, I want to use some of the embellishments on the other side of this beautiful paper, so I had to check where I was going to cut first so that I didn't cut what I needed, and the same on this one. Now, that one was 3.5, so that meant this one had to be 8.5, and I cut off my edging to make sure that my paper sits perfectly on the frames. With the leftover strips that I had from the branding strips, that's what I'm using to put across the centre of my layout as per the one that I'm lifting from Scrappy Chick 101. Now, I have inked all the edges with gathered twigs. It's adding that shadow and depth that I want off the page so that it adds detail. Now, when I lay lace, I put down the double-sided tape, but I also run a little bit of glue because I don't want it to lift and I don't want it to move in the future. And I'm putting the lace to just soften it a little and give it a little bit of texture. So I have my three pictures, and I'm just working out how I'm going to lay them out. My photos are different sizes, of course, to the layout, but that's all right because that's what it's about. You make it yours. I cut off that piece at the top of that photo because it actually was a bit washed out and it wasn't adding to the picture, so I removed it. So now I have a more squarish type of picture for that piece. I'm using the green now to create a fishtail banner, which I'm going to put to the back of this layout. And you'll see that I cut it because it wasn't quite long enough, but that's okay because the photo will cover where I cut it, and that way I was able to extend it. I'm making sure that I ink all the edges, so I'm lifting that whole banner, that whole layering of that border across, and then I'm laying it back over the top. So then I'm able to put down my photos ready for all the embellishing to happen. And I didn't notice at the time that that photo was crooked, and I should have fixed that, but I didn't. But that's okay, whatever. I'm a little bit crooked, so it just matches nicely. Once I embellish it and build it up, you won't notice it as much. Alright, so I need 2 fishtail banners in the corner as Scrappy Chick 101 has, and I just am very much a purist and try to, when I'm scrap lifting, be very similar to the person's work. Yes, it's a springboard, and yes, it doesn't have to be exact, but I try to replicate the elements as best I can. Now, to create that base, I could have cut that out on a die cut, but I just as easily folded it and did the curve cut to give that pocket element to the top of that layout there. Alright, so I'm cutting in the fishtail banners. This is nice and easy, fold in half and then cut triangle, and they're exactly the same on both sides, and it's even, and you have a nice clean crisp fishtail banner. I'm going to layer those 2 up the top and put them into that top corner, and that fills that top corner, and it also provides an anchor point for a cluster. Now I've fussy cut out the crane and the bird, and I have a folded paper crane to tie it all together to make my 3 cluster points. I'm using those beautiful blossoms from the papers that Alicia created to build up these clusters. And I also have some chippy from Scrapbook Fantasies that I wanted to put on, but I ended up not using the lantern, but I did use the 2 swirls. Now I cut out my title Harmony. That's because this was the Harmony pool, and it was beautiful. And it really was quite a nice calming, tranquil area. So I put that there as my title. Now, Scrappy Chick 101 doesn't have a title, but I've added one in because I felt that the page needed it. I've gone and put all of those clusters down. I've popped some up with some foam tape. You didn't need to watch me do that. You know how to glue things down. I'm now going to put in some sequencing to add a little bit of bling and also to finish off my clusters. It's really important to bulk them up. If you put one in one cluster, you should put them in all the clusters. And 3s are odds, which are really nice for the eyes, and it sets up that visual triangle as well. So these pretty pink pearly sequins, I'm just adding into each of the clusters. And then I have some very, very shiny tiny little ones, which I've also added in to build them up. So that they are 3 different ones in the clusters, and they're 3 exactly the same in each cluster, so that they mirror across the page. I put that one round the wrong way, so I've just turned it and flipped it. I just need to find one more, and there you can see. Now on the desk, if you didn't see, they were all tiny triangles, which really are see-through. I'm adding in here that we were at Roma Street Gardens in Brisbane. That was last November, and that's my page really much done. I like how it turned out. I love those papers. They're amazing. I'm going to put the links down below. You can check out all of that paper range from Scrapbook Fantasies. And there you can see that's the first cluster. That's the second cluster there. And there's the giant crane and the 3rd cluster. And I think it just marries beautifully with those photos. And the colours are reflected in the papers, and that's very important because then that keeps the photos front and centre. So here it is in the sun, in the brightness. You can see the full colours of that layout. Thank you so much for watching. I hope something inspired you. Remember, clustering is any way you want it to be. As long as you marry your elements, they will look balanced. Have a go at it. If there's something that you liked, feel free to lift. I did. This is part of the Off the Page with Pineapple Papers. I'll put the playlist down below. There's lots of talented people playing. Remember, you can find me under Kathy Loves to Scrap. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know that you like what you're watching. I really do appreciate you returning subscribers, and if you're not, please consider doing so. Leave me a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I always try to respond to the feedback. All my socials are Kathy Loves to Scrap. Find them there. You'll find all my layouts at Instagram. And thanks again for watching. Happy scrapping. Until next time.